Okay, welcome everybody to Cabinet, Councillors. We are now starting the meeting, 3 p.m, Tuesday 14th of March. Good afternoon everybody, welcome to Cabinet. Membership of the Cabinet, we've got apologies from Councillor Will Simpson. Any more apologies? I don't think we have. Item 2, minutes of previous meeting, I take a record. Show of hands, nods. Thank you very much, members. Item 3, declaration of interest. Any members who have got an interest, please complete the form and hand them in to Andrea after the meeting. That also goes to member. At the moment, we've got one member watching online. So same applies to members who are watching online, who are going to participate in the meeting. Item 4, admission of the public. We've got one member of the public. Name?
Nick Willock, who will be speaking on item 11.
Nick will be speaking on item 11. Nick, so I'll bring you in at the appropriate time. Welcome. Item 5, any deputations or petitions? No deputations or petitions. Any questions by members of the public? Am I correct that if it's the last meeting before the PERDA, there is no questions?
It still applies until next week.
Next week, right. Thank you very much for clarification. Item 7, questions by elected members. Any questions by members of the council? He hasn't?
Do you want to ask him?
Yeah, has he got his hand up? No. Okay, Bill's not got his hand up, so he's not got a question. Item 8, affordable housing and housing mix supplementary planning document. Councillor Graham Turner. Graham, over to you.
As well as the public consultations. So I'm confident that this is a robust SPD and will help us provide a mix of homes and houses in the right areas of Kirklees as well as more affordable homes. It will also provide clarity for our ambitions for affordable homes for not only the public but for developers as well. It's never been more important to ensure we continue to do all we can to deliver genuinely affordable homes for our residents and to ensure we see building of the right types of homes being built in the right areas of Kirklees. Chair, can I ask that Cabinet approves this report this afternoon?
Thank you. Any questions or comments? No? Can we go for the vote? That's carried. Item 9, building community and voluntary capacity through integrated approaches, grant funding and distribution to anchor organisation. Councillor Musarrat Khan, Muz, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. This report seeks approval to continue existing arrangements already agreed by Cabinet in 2021 to make a grant payment of $180,000 over an additional 12-month period to the current community anchors and the contract which comes to an end at the end of March. And this is to enable them to continue to develop the offer that supports the PCNs as part of the integrated model. And the current contract continues to help embed place-based working, strengthening the voice of the third sector and thereby supports communities and citizens involved in finding local solutions to meet local needs. The anchor organisation's contract values and priorities are aligned with the adult social care vision as well as supporting a number of other collective priorities.
Thank you very much. Anybody want to second that? Councillor Cassie Scott.
Yeah, Chair, I second that. Can I just give a shout out to the anchor organisations because I think they've done an exceptional job in all they've been doing throughout, you know, giving stability to the community and working with others. So, yeah, I'm happy to second this.
Thank you very much. If there are no other comments, can we go for the vote? That's carried. Thank you very much. Item 10, educational outcomes for the academic year 2021-2022. Councillor Carol Patson.
Thank you, Leader. This report is just the annual report on the outcomes of all the GCSE results, SATS results, etc., at the different stages of children's education in Kirklees for the last year. This is the first full report since COVID. We've only had a partial report last year. This year is the first one, and I'm really pleased to say that our schools and our children have done exceptionally well this year. It's still around the national average, but they have done really well in key stage 4 and 5 in particular, above the national average there. And also they've improved at a greater rate than other authorities elsewhere nationally. So we've done really well. So all congratulations to them for having done so. You've got masses of data here at the back, which I won't go through, but Phil Mark is here if you wanted to ask any particular questions about any particular performance indicator or standard that there is contained within the appendix. But overall, I have to say that a very good job has been done, and I support the officer recommendations, and in doing so recognise that the outcomes in Kirklees are the first, as I said, since the return to externally assessed examinations. There's some excellent performance, noticeably, as I've already said, Key Stage 4 GCSE outcomes and also Key Stage 5 outcomes. This report and the ongoing work outlines our significant ensuring that all of our education system can continue to improve and recover from the challenges of COVID. It is clear local authority staff, schools, colleges, settings and a range of related services continue to work together to secure a strong recovery from COVID. I commend the report to you. It's only here for noting, it isn't for any decision.
Thank you very much. Just for noting, so we don't need to take a vote on it. But Councillor Viv Kennett, do you want to say anything? Are you? Thank you very much. I've got no members with their hands up, so can we just approve that report for noting? Thank you very much, members. Item 11, asset rationalisation savings. I've got Councillor Paul Davis, and once Councillor Paul Davis finishes, Nick, I'll bring you in. Paul?
Thank you, Leader. This is the first report, well, first paper of a series of Cabinet reports that will bring forward plans for the asset rationalisation of council assets. But they will include recommendations for relocation of services, allowing for reutilisation or disposal of assets. I think we're all very much aware, during the pandemic, there's a change in approach to working within the UK. Very much, a combination of home working and later on, as the pandemic eased off, hybrid working. And prior to the pandemic, Council operated from 8 key office accommodation bases around Huddersfield Town Centre, plus a number of peripheral sites. And that provided around 3,000 desks each day. As I mentioned, the prolonged period of the pandemic produced a step change in approach to many organisations' work, and very much ourselves as a council. And that shift in home working for many parts of the council increased our ability to be flexible, and clearly with the support of technology we were able to manage that and continue to utilise that sort of hybrid approach going forward. So this step change means that really the council's need for an extensive portfolio of office accommodation bases has significantly diminished, in particular in Huddersfield. And now, as part of this rationalisation, we are looking to create a civic campus approach based around the core buildings of Civic Centre 1 rather, and Civic Centre 3. Civic Centre 1, of course, has been extensively refurbished to help create that environment for, particularly for hybrid working. Also, again, as Cabinet know, we have to generate significant savings, not just this year, but in years to come. and this will be continued to be an issue in which we'll look at our asset base in terms of our overall savings target. In terms of rationalisation schemes undertaken in this financial year, again, Cabinet will be aware of the closure of the main Huddersfield Library. That's part of the Cultural Heart Master Plan. Queensgate Market, again, part of the Cultural Heart Plan. But also in addition to that, Perseverance House. This was formerly used by Homes and Neighbourhoods, but has been really not used fully for some time, and is proposed, also demolition has actually started on that building under delegation, and it's proposed that this land will be disposed of as an employment opportunity to create new jobs. And also the other element for this financial year has been the former West Town Family Centre in Dewsbury. The centre has been closed and mothballed for a number of years and in poor state. And again, under delegation, officers made a decision to demolish the centre, and the future of that is being considered at the moment. There are further plans for 23-24. Well, I'm proposed for our consideration, Cabinet considerations, Kirkgate buildings. This is used by the election service at the moment, and is proposed to mothball that building and monitor that going forward whilst we decide on this future. Riverbank Court, this has been reoccupied and has not been reoccupied, since COVID, and is being mothballed and monitored again. And the asset strategy team are exploring future uses for the site, which could include disposal for employment or other uses. And again, I'm sure Cabinet are aware from previous discussions, Flint Street North offices also closing and being demolished, and that closure and demolition has been programmed for summer of this year and should provide us with the opportunity, I believe, for a development for housing going forward. We're also looking at 24-25, importantly, certainly in line with revenue savings, and as is the case in Huddersfield, Dewsbury is being looked at in terms of utilisation of our assets there and how best we can use those. Also in Batley, we're looking at better utilisation of the upper floor of the library and office accommodation, and of course the historic buildings, including the town halls, are being reviewed going forward in terms of their function and utilisation. So with that background, I would like to ask Cabinet to refer to Section 6 of Officers' recommendations, which I support. I would ask Cabinet to support each of those recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Paul Davies. Nick, do you want to have your...
Thank you, Chair. Good afternoon, Committee. By way of background, I'm a local planning consultant and I worked for Kirklees Planning Department for 17 years up until 2014. I'm also part of the recently formed Kirklees Developers Consortium, which has been set up post-pandemic to address the decline in customer service and performance within the planning department that has occurred since before COVID. We have a membership of over 70 developers, consultants and architects. Our aim is to work constructively and cooperatively with your officers, and we are now having regular meetings with Edward Highfield, Matthias Franklin and Councillor Turner in order to try and address these problems. However, our firm view is that the predominant cause of the decline in performance of customer service is the continuing working from home situation, which, despite the COVID restrictions being eased 12 months ago, staff are still working from home for the majority of the week. Our thoughts in very simplistic terms are that predominant home working reduces communication, it reduces team working, reduces team spirit and morale, and reduces the opportunity for junior members of staff in learning from more experienced colleagues in an office. These are but a few examples of how predominant home working is not just bad for your staff, but has serious consequences for performance and customer service. A very simple example of the decline is the tremendous difficulties in getting hold of anyone in the planning department by phone. This was not the case pre-pandemic. The Kirklees Developers Consortium are not against a small element of hybrid working, for example, an officer working from home on occasions in order to get a complicated report written. providing this is of no detriment to overall performance and customer service. However, through an analysis of the pre- and post-pandemic situation, the consortium have demonstrated that performance and customer service have declined markedly despite a marginal increase in staff resources. These statistics have recently been supplied to Edward Highfield and Matthias Franklin. The problems are so severe that this situation has and still is causing tremendous amounts of delays, difficulties and stress for agents, developers and applicants trying to negotiate the planning system. The knock-on effects of this are that investment in the borough is not just slowing down, but we know for a fact that a number of investors and developers have already said they will no longer put their money into Kirklees. This list includes at least one major house builder. Our grave concern in relation to item 11 being heard today is that the implications of this decision have simply not been thought through, and there is a woefully inadequate amount of evidence and information in front of Cabinet today to enable members to make an informed decision. For example, officers have told you that the pre-pandemic situation was 3,000 desk spaces, but you aren't being told what the number of desk spaces will be after these changes. As such, the Cabinet will have no idea as to how many days per week an average officer can work in the office, which, as we have detailed above, is having a significant impact on performance and customer service. So if, for example, you were told that there are 1,000 desk spaces available after these measures, that will mean that officers will still have to work predominantly from home. The report also talks about embedding hybrid working. However, as far as we can see, there's been absolutely no analysis by the Council about the impacts of working from home or hybrid working on performance and customer service across the Council, and how that affects stakeholders such as householders, businesses and investors using the planning system. Without a detailed analysis of the home working, hybrid working model, there can be no properly informed decision about whether or not it is a good idea in principle to allow staff more time working from home compared to the pre-pandemic situation. Going further back to the early stages of the pandemic, whilst there had to be an initial obligatory decision to allow office-based workers to work from home, as far as we can see, there has never been a formal process of analysing the impacts of this going forward in terms of performance and customer service. It's as if the report before you today simply assumes that this is the norm going forward. This is extremely alarming in our opinion. The Cabinet report at page 214, section 3.8, says there are no financial implications for people living or working in Kirklees from this recommendation today, as we have demonstrated with our statistical analysis in relation to planning application performance, together with the decisions actively being made by inward investors in relation to the future of their investments in Kirklees. This is clearly not the case. The financial implications for the borough are actually quite profound, because without a properly functioning planning system, then investment is deterred, development is slowed down significantly, and the whole borough will be poorer as a result. Whilst we accept that there may have to be decisions made by the Council in relation to future funding, we feel there are other ways that this could be addressed. For example, if the evidence is clear in supporting our view that working from home does not achieve the most efficient use of your most expensive resource, i.e. staff, then savings made in rationalising the use of the Council buildings are in danger of being wiped out.
Can you
Just one more paragraph, yeah.
Well, you've had
I'll be quick.
5 minutes.
All right, okay.
Just sum up, please.
Okay, yeah. Finally, the planning service were previously in Civic Centre 1. This has now been left empty for 3 years, and yet the building had been in full working order before the pandemic. What's puzzling to all of us is why this building is still empty and not being used. Surely this is not a good use of council resources. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Nick. Councillor Graham Turner, can I ask you to...
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Nick, for coming along this afternoon and voicing your opinion on this report. As you rightly point out, I meet with the consortium and a smaller group of the consortium as well, and these concerns have been expressed many, many times. We are convinced that a hybrid working system is the best for the authority, is best for our staff. It's not correct to say that all planning staff are working from home. Planning staff are working out of Flint Street. They are averaging 2 days per week with teams rotating days due to the space and layout of Flint Street. And that's one of the reasons we want to get rid of Flint Street, because it's not a great building, and Civic 1, when it's finished, will provide a much better service for our staff. We are aiming for at least 2, hopefully 3 days in Civic 1 when that opens. We haven't quite got a date yet, but it's not far away from opening now. This will be a hybrid working system as set out in our corporate policies. We all know that not just issues as you see them about people working from home, there's a national shortage of planning officers at all levels, both senior and junior. It's only a matter of a few weeks ago that the LGA reported that 54% of local authorities were having difficulty recruiting staff. If we are to attract the best talent, the best young talent, the best experienced talent, which is what we aim to do within the planning service, we have to give that option of hybrid working. They would expect that to be part of their working package. The issue around desks in Civic 1, there's some very clever software that's going to be installed in there that will enable corporate landlord to monitor the use of the desks. It won't tell us who's working there, but it will tell us how long a specific desk has been operated, so that over a period of time we can then analyse that data, and we'll be able to tell what's working efficiently, what do we need more space, do we need less space. So that will be, it'll take a few months for that software to pick all that up, but that's the level of detail we are going into to prove that our belief that hybrid working is the way forward. We can't deny that we have to adapt to new ways of working. Nationally, it's accepted that 5 days in the office is not the norm anymore. Why should we buck the trend? Our planning officers are working incredibly hard. As I say, national shortage of planning officers is one of our biggest problems. And not to offer hybrid working will not help us attract those highly qualified, high expertise that we want in the organisation. But to blame all the problems on planning issues at the moment around working from home is, I think, is naive and not helpful at this moment in time. This has been explained a number of times to the group, and you still don't seem to be either understanding where we're coming from or understanding how we operate in our hybrid system. No doubt at the next meeting, which is, I think it's not too far away, again, we'll discuss that with you. But on the whole, we need to rationalise our estate. Councillor Davis has explained, we're scattered all over town. We need to create a corporate centre, and operate our 2 buildings there. Not only will it save us money, but we can also free up some of those buildings that we can develop for hopefully something like town centre living, which we are really keen to do. So it's rather pointless to have 2 buildings partially full when we can have 2 buildings relatively full and rationalise the estate. But I take on board what you said. Councillor Davis has heard what you said, but thank you very much, Nick, for coming, and no doubt we'll see you at the next Builders Consortium meeting.
Councillor Viv Kendrick, you had your hand up.
It was a comment you made about this information didn't give us enough in order to make a decision. I'm a cabinet member for Children's Services, so not to do with planning or anything like that, but I'm absolutely sure Cabinet colleagues are the same, and absolutely clear about the productivity for the service areas that I look after. I am aware of what the caseloads are of workers. I am aware of how many supervision meetings occur, particularly for our newly qualified social workers, how many visits are done and so on. And I think there are a whole range of other factors, such as the number of staff available in different service areas, and as we've heard, planning is really struggling for staff. The time lost in travel is another issue, and I'm greatly aware, both from meetings within the council and the meetings I chair at West Yorkshire and Yorkshire and Humber level, of the greater attendance and engagement from services and officers and other authorities, because we can do hybrid meetings, we can do online meetings. So I suppose I'm saying, I'm not outraged, Nick, but I am very clear about how much productivity is done from my service with people working from home, with people working in a hybrid manner, and I feel confident that my colleagues within their own service areas have that knowledge too.
Thank you, Viv Kendrick, and thanks, Nick, for coming forward and expressing your views and opinions. Like Councillor Graham Turner says, that we will continue to work with the Kirklees developers consortium. So keep on talking, and I'm sure we'll keep on listening. So on that note, I'd like to second that report. Are we all okay to agree with that report? Quick show of hands, members. Thank you very much. That's carried. Item 12, 2023-24, proposed allocation of funding from Children's Directorate, Achieve and Aspire Baseline section of the Capital Plan. Councillor Carol Patterson, over to you.
Thank you, Leader. Yeah, as you say, this report is about identifying the projects to be funded from the 23-24 Achieve and Aspire Capital Maintenance section of the Capital Plan. And those projects address the urgent condition needs in maintained schools. And this report also asks for delegated powers for officers to manage the programme within the budget envelope, which I hope we will agree. The type of programme of works that will be undertaken is replacement of life expired flat and pitched roofs, whole school electrical rewires, replacement of boilers, urgent health and safety works, and structural repairs. It's all to come out of the, as I say, the capital budget. But in order to aid the implementation of this programme, which, by the way, is fully detailed in Appendix B, members are requested to delegate authority in accordance with the Council's Financial Procedure Rule 3.13, dated May 22, to the Service Director Development, Growth and Regeneration to manage the implementation of the identified works within the total budget. So I ask you to basically approve this report, Appendix A, which details the business case and the rationale behind the works programme, the list of works at Appendix B, and the consideration of the proposed officer delegated powers, as I've just mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Carol Patterson. Councillor Viv Kendrick, do you want to second that? Yeah. Thank you very much, members. Nobody else putting their hand up, so can we go for the vote? Quick show of hands. Thank you very much. That's carried. Item 13, Highways 2-year detailed capital plan allocation 2023-24 and 24-25. City Region Sustainable Transport Settlement Funds. All other funding for highways, including council borrowing and any additional grant monies. Councillor Mather, can I ask you to introduce this report? Thank you.
Thank you, Leader. I'd like to... I'm happy to bring this report to Cabinet. It's a very detailed report, and I'd like to thank all the staff involved. So I'd like to highlight some of the main things included in this report, which are the 23-24 funding, which is made up from around 15 million of grant monies, including City Regional Sustainable Transport Settlement and Challenge Fund grants. And around 9 million from the Council's own borrowing will go towards a number of programmes of work. Following on from the completion of the LED street lighting replacement programme, the street lighting team will commence a replacement programme of concrete lighting columns, over 13,000 across the district, helping to bring whole streets in line with current standards. Moving on, the locality-based unclassified programme will see further investment of 12 million over a 4-year programme, building on the work already carried out as part of Phase 1. Flood management will also continue with the installation of new improved drainage assets to mitigate flood risks to infrastructure and property. Funding attributed to public rights of way, PROW, will support several overarching project schemes, including installation and improved signage, boardwork, walks to open impassable boggy routes, installation and replacement of footbridges, and specialist equipment to clear routes currently impassable by heavy vegetation. All improvements will open various links across the PROW network, including access to a greater number of routes. Urban Traffic Control will use their funding to introduce new traffic light technology, which would look to prioritise junction and cross sites for replacement. This will help reduce delays and prioritise public transport, pedestrians or cyclists at individual junctions and along our key corridors. The Safer Roads package aims to improve road safety through development and integration of Vision Zero and encourage a shift towards more active modes of transport. This will be carried out through several actions, including analysis of collisions, hotspots, improvements in route infrastructure, pedestrian crossings and safety on school routes, as well as further speed management initiatives. Work within this programme will cover the inspection, assessment, maintenance and strengthening of all highways authority bridges, culverts, footbridges and retaining walls within Kirklees. I would like to ask Cabinet to approve recommendations, officer recommendations in Section 6, which I support. One, the budget and the programme schemes allocations with the detailed 2-year plan for sum of 24,408,044 pence and 19,736,576 for the year beginning 2023-2024, 2024-25 respectively, as shown in Appendix A and B, to allow the spend on the schemes identified to improve the highways network and increase safety on the roads whilst improving air quality and positively impacting climate change across the district. Point 2, the delegation of powers to the Service Director of Highways and Street Scene in consultation with Cabinet Portfolio Holder for Environment and other Cabinet members as deemed appropriate by the Strategic Director of Environment and Climate Change to enable any amendments to be made to identify schemes, the addition of future schemes and funding allocations for those schemes in accordance with the Council Financial Procedure Rules for the purpose of expending efficient delivery of this programme and spend of the available budget and to allow the anticipated outcomes and achievements to be realised. Next point, approval to accelerate spend of CRSTS borrowing and accelerate the 2-year forward programme through delegation to the Service Director of Highways and Street Scenes through consultation with the Portfolio Holder Environment. Finally, delegation to Service Director to Highways and Street Scenes in consultation with the Service Director, Legal, Governance and Commissioning to agree and negotiate the terms, and for the Service Director, Legal, Governance and Commissioning to enter into any funding arrangements and other documents to enable individual projects and schemes to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Firth, you've got your hand up.
Can I second that, Chair, and thank Councillor Method for the full and comprehensive report. There's so many exciting things in here that we can make a real difference to the people of Kirklees if we read it properly.
Absolutely. Councillor Bill Armour, you got your hand up?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just remove that. I've got a comment first and then a question. For the comment, could I draw your attention to
Bill,
Appendix
we can hardly hear you. Have you got a headset or have you got
I don't have one available at the moment.
yeah, we can hear you, but it's very muffled and very faint. Bill, we'll just bear with me. I think we'll see if we can do some something on the computer. Just bear with me. So, Bill, try again.
Is that better?
No. Yeah. Bill, can you type your question if you can? Can you type it on chat?
Type
If you can.
in. Oof. Yep. So that's a comment.
Councillor Armour wanted to make a comment about the very small print of Appendix A, which is unreadable.
So, Councillor Mather, Appendix A is very unreadable.
Councillor Armour, you're right. It is. The print is far too small, and I'll get the officers to send you a bigger printer, or the online version, you can actually increase the font size.
If you could send me the link for that or someone could, please, that would help. And I've got a question now, Mr. Chair.
I can't hear a thing.
No, it's all right, I didn't say
Just bear with us, Bill. We're going to read your... Are you typing a supplementary?
I've typed a
Okay,
question
we'll wait
about
for you to just
Towngate
type it.
quite badly. But it is vital that this work is done. This is Towngate, I assume, at Highburton. It's on the list. It's vital it's done quickly.
Bill, we acknowledge that the appendices is small in terms of the fonts, but if you go online and if you download the PDF, you can actually enlarge it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
And he
I've
can send me the
message
question.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this question about Towngate in Highburton. When will this BB be done? When will this BB done? Towngate in Highburton. When will this be done? When will this be done?
Towngate in Highburton.
Okay, so Councillor Armour, it's a 4-year programme on LIBOR, so there will be a further report in June. If you can't see it, it will be delivered in year 3, I think, but I need to check and I'll get back to you.
Thank you. Bill, he will get back to you regarding what sequencing that particular scheme is in the 4-year programme. Thank you. Any more questions, Bill?
I've sent something else through. We've been waiting for 8 years. It was done.
Okay, Bill, no problem. He will get you back a time scale. Councillor Graham Turner, you had your hand up. Yeah, no, point noted, right? Yeah, but if you do go online, yeah, if you do go online, you can actually enlarge it, and a lot of these reports are online. Okay, Councillor First has seconded the report. Can we have a show of hands to approve that report? Thank you, members. Item 14, Corporate Financial Monitoring Report, Quarter 3. Councillor Paul Davis.
Yep, thank you, Leader. So this report sets out the Council's current budget position. It summarises, as we know, significant cost of living pressures. They're at around 17.1 million and an overall forecast overspend of just under 30 million in this financial year. This is compared to 34.3 million at Quarter 2. So there has been an overall reduction in the overspend of 4.9 million, so just under 5 million since Q2. Or to put that another way, we'll achieve 5 million savings, which, as I reported at Council last week, is an overachievement on the 4 million target that we set ourselves. So that certainly is testament to the excellent work and hard work of all of the directorates in terms of achieving this and working towards this end with regards to our overall cost of living issues and our plans for mitigating that. And in also putting in place the processes and it has to be said, the mindset for the challenges that face us in 23, 24 and beyond. The most significant cause of the overspend is cost of living issues, which are total 17.1 million, as I said earlier. These are a mix of energy and other inflationary costs, which of course households and many of us, businesses and organisations across the country have experienced. But also, has to be said, the 22-23 pay award was far in excess of what was budgeted. And that certainly may be another pressure that we face going forward for 23-24. Other budget pressures, totaling 12.3 million, include increased demand for vital services, particularly in the social care services for older residents and young people, as well as the impact of the wider economic environment on our income, our service income. However, we believe that we are well placed to offset this unprecedented cost of living impact by a combination of savings in your savings, but also using on a short-term basis our reserves. However, the scale of the shocks to the British economy are very significant, and again, we're all very much aware of that. And as previously reported at Q2, we'll continue to take further action to reduce the in-year deficit, which has contributed to our overall savings and the overall net 4.9 million that I mentioned earlier. So going forward, we'll continue to focus on a number of key areas, which we've already started on. That's around freezing recruitment, increased scrutiny of any additional expenditure beyond current commitments, and, as I've already in this meeting talked about, rationalisation of council buildings, which is a key aspect of this going forward. Alongside this is the ongoing work to review our capital programme, which we've discussed a number of times, and exploring alternative sources of funding, which are all of this necessary to reduce our overspend. Unfortunately, at the moment, the national economic outlook means that the Council has to be prepared for budget pressures to persist and maybe even intensify in future years. So this has been reflected in the 23-24 budget that I proposed and was passed by Council last week. And clearly, we've already pointed to 24-25 as being a very difficult challenge for us unless there are some significant changes external to the Council in terms of areas such as fair funding and other support from government, and in particular, obviously, changes to the economy in a positive sense. So that's a backdrop to the report. As I said, I don't think anybody wants to be referencing making cost savings as a positive in the sense of the pressures that we face, but it is a positive that we've been able to overachieve on the target, and that means it gives us a very good foundation for 23-24. With that, I would put forward officers' recommendations, which I support. Many of those are simply to note, as you will see, a number of areas, but there are a number of approvals for Cabinet, in particular around capital, a number of some smaller and then more significant areas that we need Cabinet to sign off today. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you very much, Councillor Paul Davies. The bottom line is the shock to the economy has actually completely devastated public finances up and down the country. But having said that, we have we are having to weather the storm, other local authorities. We had a forecast of £4 million to be saved in a year. We've exceeded that to 5 million. We've froze recruitment with increased scrutiny of additional expenditure. We've earmarked reserves in a very, very short term. And also, as the previous report highlighted, we've actually rationalised our assets and we'll continue to look at any further savings. But the next couple of years are going to be challenging. But we have a plan. We got the budget approved last week, and every single member of this cabinet and the council, will need to actually take the situation very, very seriously, which I'm sure they will. But once again, thank you very much, Councillor Paul Davies and all the staff that work within that service for doing an excellent report in terms of our finances. So on that note, are we okay to approve the report? Quick show of hands. Thank you very much, members. Before we move on to item 15 and 16, there's item 18 and 19, which references the two reports which are in private yellow papers because of commercially sensitive and information. I'm assuming that all members have read that, so we don't need to go into private session. Thank you very much. So item 15, 610 Westgate Dewsbury Revival Grant Scheme, grant offer. Councillor Eric Firth, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. As members will have read, Chair, Chair, Leader, I'll roll into one. As colleagues will have read in your papers, 6210 Westgate is an iconic building on the very edge of Daisy Hill, which we have going forward great plans for. It's a 4-storey building, bit of a estate upstairs, and a bit of a estate around the back, to be honest. But going forward, it will provide 2 one-bedroom flats and a 2-bedroom flat. The ground floor will be split. As it is now just one large office, it will be split into a cafe and a solicitor's office. Going forward, it will be a great asset to Dewsbury and will be, I think, a benchmark for future developments, not only in Westgate and going forward into Daisy Hill. As I said, I've been not inside the property, but I raised concerns with officers when they brought it to me about the waste. I always bang on about the waste. Town centre conversions, the waste aspect is critical, I think, because we have so many conversions in the past where we've passed it, planning have approved it, and then there's nowhere to put the bins, which causes lots of problems going forward. Anyway, that's been resolved, and without further ado, can I, on page 313, move the officer recommendations?
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a good report. I've read it inside out. It is hopefully going to offer something which is different to what we've done in the past, because A, it's going to provide high quality accommodation, B, you're going to get a solicitor's office underneath, and then also you're going to get a food outlet within the same cafe, within the same building. So, yeah, I think it's a good scheme. Any further comments, Cathy?
Yes, just quickly, Chair, I'd just like to say it just shows that we are continuing to invest in Dewsbury. Despite this economic climate, we still have that at the heart of what we're doing in our sites with all the other town centres that we're able to support. So, yes, it's welcome news for Dewsbury.
Thank you very much. I can't see anybody else putting their hands up, so can we approve that report? Thank you, members. Item 16, proposed acquisition of affordable homes off Owl Lane and Chidswell Lane, Dewsbury. Councillor Cathy Scott. Cathy, over.
Thank you, Chair. I don't need to remind you in the Chamber that we do have a housing crisis, and I think people out there realise the pressures that we have on our current waiting lists. So we're doing things innovatively and we're doing things differently. That was the commitment of this Cabinet. So this report comes before Cabinet and it outlines a business case for the proposed acquisition of 14 one-bedroom new build flats from the Barratt Homes site, which is on Owl Lane in Shawcross, Dewsbury. The homes would be acquired through the HRA capital plan and the house building budget within the strategic priorities section of the capital plan and managed as part of the housing revenue account. The site and properties detailed are shown in Appendix 1 of this report. On developments, we have to secure 106 planning obligation, and this applies to this site, and it requires the developer to provide housing, and there's 38 discounted market sale homes that will be made available for sale to the qualifying first-time buyers and directly from the developer. And in addition to this, there is the 14 flats that are to be provided for letting at affordable rent. These are available for sale to registered providers, which includes the council. The Section 106 planning process enables registered providers to acquire new affordable housing stock at a significant discount from the open market and on the market value and the build costs. This route allows this council to respond the most needy in our areas and all the pressures that we're having. So as I said at the beginning of this report, we are doing things innovatively and we need to improve our housing stock. It provides new affordable homes without the leading design, commissioning and contract costs. So that's a saving also for us as a council. External advice has been sought on this and commissioned by the council and has been assessed, and the proposed acquisition over a 30-year financial appraisal. This covers the acquisition of the letting, the management and the maintenance and the repair costs against the indexed cost assumptions of the rental income. So there are financial considerations to be made on this report, and it is a big ask. But there is 14 one-bedroom flats that can be acquired at a discounted price. The cost of acquiring this stock and making it available to rent, inclusive of a professional fees and stamp duty and land tax, is £663,465. This works out at £47,400 per flat. That, to me, demonstrates our commitment, that if we can acquire this, we can house people, which is an estimated on market value 40% less than the market value. So we are committed to working with people. So in acquiring these properties, the council can provide these homes as part of a wider offer. The proposal is to acquire and make them available and more affordable as part of the Homes and Neighbourhood Development Programme. And it's about tackling our inequality, affordability, fuel poverty and our cost of living crisis by providing quality, safe, warm, affordable homes for new and current tenants as they move on and progress. So as I said before, we are committed and we will continue to work with partners and new partners as it comes along. We're going to be innovative, as I said. We're investing in the North Kirklees growth zone. Place-based working is at the heart of what we're doing, and this community is in much need of this investment and allow these houses to happen for them. So I ask Cabinet to support the opposer's recommendation in 7.1.1, and it's to agree the acquisition of the 14 flats as outlined in the report, and that the Director of Growth and Regeneration, in consultation with the Service Director for Legal and Monitoring and Commissioning, to negotiate and draft and enter into a contract with the vendor for this purchase. I think you will agree, housing is in a crisis. We need to support this, so I'm asking Cabinet, please support this recommendation.
Thank you, Cathy. Any Naheed, Paul?
Thank you, Councillor Scott. Welcome news. What can you say in a cost of living crisis and finding it difficult to actually rent or own your own home? This is a beginnings of us actually putting our principles into practice. I can't express enough how happy I am that we are being innovative, Councillor Scott, and you have my full support. And this is a message that we are still ambitious and we put our principles into practice by looking after the most vulnerable in our communities, by ensuring that they have the shelter, which is a basic human right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Paul Davis.
Thank you. Yeah, I absolutely support this. And I think, again, reflecting on Council last week when I presented a proposed budget and I talked about choices and values. And I think this is a real example of the choices we're making as administration and demonstrating our values as a Labour administration. So absolutely support that. Commend the work that's been done on this. I think absolutely great job, Cathy, with the team as well.
Councillor Eric Firth.
Thank you, Leader. Of course, I do support this project wholeheartedly. You will have noticed in my comments, I had some reservations about the space and about the being one bedroom, because I do know people sometimes have children that they like to stay with them if they're single people. That's why I would have preferred, in going forward, if we do this again, if resources do come available, that we would consider looking at perhaps two-bedroom, family split up. Councillor Kendrick, sometimes these people have to live on alone, and sometimes the children wish to stay with them occasionally, just a visit on a weekend. But I think going forward, I think if we have the opportunity to get two-bedroom flats at a discounted rate, it will be fantastic.
Absolutely, Councillor Firth. Councillor Firth, Cathy Scott, do you want to come back in?
Yeah, I hear what Councillor Firth said, and also Councillor Kendrick. I agree with both of what you're saying, but at this moment, we're being innovative. We've got an opportunity. This is a new way of doing things. One-bedroom flats are in need. And they're not only for young people, they are for older people too. So I'm getting old. Everybody's getting old. So I do bear that cross. So yes, so I have to say, you picked up on about the sizing of the flat. Absolutely. But as we progress and as we move forward, and who knows, whatever funding opportunities or envelopes that may come along. But I can tell you one thing, I absolutely invest everything in this administration for what you're doing and commend you.
Thank you, Councillor Cathy Scott. Yeah, Barratt Homes are a private developer, and I think it's great news that we've got 14 flats, 38 homes, which enable first-time buyers. I think what Councillor Paul Davis said is spot on. First-time buyers are finding it hard to actually get on the housing market. Even when somebody's got a good income, and this actually shows that we are sort of like working creatively. Not just with the public sector, but also with the private sector, because remember, Barratt Homes is a private developer, and I'm really pleased that we've managed to actually work up the finances, because there is a housing need. We know that. You talked about housing need at the beginning, and I don't know how many on the waiting list now, but there's like thousands, 14,000, 19 has gone up. Yeah. So although we've got 19,000 people on the housing waiting list, these new developments will start to actually build that bridge to actually enable people, local people, to actually be able to afford the home they require. Councillor Cathy Scott, you got your hand up, you want to come back in?
Yeah, I just want to add into that, because the uncertainty are how many are on the waiting list. Well, we've got 19,000 applications, that's not people. So it could be a family of 5, 6, less. So bear that in mind, that's a lot of people. Absolutely. That we need to cater for. And can I also mention that it's about working with private the private sector also to see what they can bring forward and other associations, because it's a partnership.
Absolutely. And nationally, we know that each year, just to actually meet the current demand, they need to build 250,000 homes. And it's appalling that despite 13 years in government, the house building record of this government is appalling, not just in terms of putting houses in the housing market, but I think what we're doing is not just putting these houses in the market, we're actually putting these, and that's a critical bit, isn't it? It's about affordable homes to rent and to buy, and that is something that we will continue to do. We've got a massive, ambitious housing programme, development programme. Once again, Councillor Cathy Scott, thank you very much for all the hard work you're doing and your officers. On that note, are we all okay to approve the report? Thank you very much, members. On the agenda, and we are now at the end of the meeting. Thank you very much.